Good afternoon. I'm Vivian Herron, VP of Sales and Partnerships with Relo. We're a sports marketing analytics company. I'd like to start by welcoming the panelists and have each one of you please introduce yourselves.
Sure. Okay. Hi, I'm Karolina Tuszewicka. I lead the media team for the Americas at HP. Very excited to be here. Thank you for having me. Beautiful Miami.
Hi, everyone. Wow. Good morning or good afternoon. Racine Levy. I'm the Senior Director of Brand and Performance Media at Care.com. Formerly worked at Angie, formerly as Angie's List for 5 years, and I am an OG agency gal. Worked at Zenith for 8.5 years to start my career. So happy to be here in Miami.
Hi, my name is Divya Goel. I'm the VP of Fan Engagement for FanCapital and Williams Racing. I wear 2 hats. Here in this capacity this week for Williams Racing, lead everything that's fan-facing on our platforms. So anything on the mobile app, anything on web, any digital activations that we have. And then actually one of our partners to the left here, I'll let introduce himself. But I've been in sports for 10 to 11 years now, did 6.5 years at the NFL, have done the NBA as well, professional lacrosse. So I live and breathe sports. So this week is like a dream for me right now.
I'm Frangella. I'm with Kraken. I am our head of consumer marketing and brand partnerships. Been at Kraken for almost 3 years now. Been in crypto for a little longer than that. Before that, sports, entertainment, MLB, Amex, a couple different places. So looking forward to hopefully you guys get some value out of this conversation.
So for this session, we're going to explore how sports, media, and entertainment marketing are evolving from the different forms of fan engagement, data-driven marketing, and sponsorship shifts. So we're going to start with the evolution of fan engagement. So there's a partnership between Kraken and Williams Racing, which started in 2023, and it has extended through the 2025 current Formula One season. And you've taken a very forward-thinking approach to fan engagement. So Lou and Divya, let's start with you. Tell us about the partnership and how you're using innovative technology to redefine the fan experience.
So when I joined Kraken, we had not done basically any public-facing marketing in the history of the company. We're going to be 14 years old this year. So no partnerships, no public-facing marketing outside of our own channels. It's really been focused on security, customer service, and like building just really great products for people. So we were looking to finally get into partnerships is basically when I joined. We didn't set out by saying, hey, we want to sponsor an F1 team or we want to sponsor a football team. It was finding that partner that's really aligned with our mission. And our mission is to accelerate the worldwide adoption of cryptocurrency so that you can achieve financial freedom. I've had hundreds of conversations even before that. But when we sat down with Williams, there was this immediate alignment with that mission. And then just, a ton of other things that check the box in terms of like similar histories, similar focus on innovation. And for us, like we're really passionate, I think, when it comes to sponsorships about making sure that we're providing value to our clients and the same way that they do for their fans. And you can't control things that obviously happen on the track, but the things that Williams does off the track have been tremendous. So when we sat down, we came up with this concept around they've been doing these fan zones, and for us, we felt it was the right opportunity to build and use our technology, get our products in front of the millions of Williams fans all over the world, but try to push innovation in a way that really provides value to the fans. So I'll let Divya talk about the fan zones and the details of that. But we've really, used blockchain technology to onboard hundreds of thousands of fans over the last, 2.5 or so years. And, we continue to see the benefits of that. But I think, for us, like that alignment of the mission and wanting to push innovation and wanting to, kind of move the world forward and the fan experience forward was exactly what we were looking for. And, brought us to, this is our 3rd year now of our partnership. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things, so I started at Williams after the first year of the partnership, or midway through the first year of the partnership. And I remember getting on the first call and we were talking about this thing and this launch called Grid Pass. And for those who have been to a Williams Racing fan zone in the past or have heard me talk at some of the other F1 races with brand innovators, Grid Pass is essentially a digital collectible that somebody can get on the Kraken platform that also connects to their Williams account. And then we are able to share that fan essentially. So we build fans across both Kraken space and the Williams F1 space so that we can educate both individual fan sets on each other. And that's how we're cross-populating. What's really unique about it is a digital product integration. It's not just a logo on a car. I'm sure that all of you have seen cars in F1 cars and team kits and everything, and it's what I call logo soup, right? It's just a bunch of logos and placements, and at some point you run out of that inventory. You lose space on a team kit, you lose space on a car. Though what really makes it valuable is when you can go beyond that track, as Lou was saying, and put something together that can touch fans globally, and then also that they can keep with them as a lasting reminder of their fandom. So how do you integrate the two? And so when I sat down on that first call, my mind was like, I don't really understand a lot about crypto. I don't understand a lot about Web3. I'm kind of in no man's land here. And I would actually say that I feel like I've had a true education process similar to how another Formula One fan would have had. And now I know their product very well. I know their platform very well. I'm a fan of Kraken, not biased anyways. But at the same time, I think it's a journey and just an example of how we can cross-populate our fans to bring the most value to each brand.
Can I just add to that real quick? So if you don't know what a Williams fan zone is, it's a free fan experience that Williams does. They pop up, on, let's call it 5 to 7 cities where the race is happening over the course of the year. Formula One's expensive, right? Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people in this room that, either have a ticket or had to grovel for a ticket to go to the race, or maybe spent money of their own, or know friends and family that go to races throughout the year, and it's very, very expensive. The genius of it is the Drive to Survive madness that's happened over the last couple of years. Everyone wants to be as close as they can to the action, and the fan zone actually makes it free for you to get there. And it's not something that costs them money. The drivers come, there's racing simulators, there's partners like us and other Williams partners they're activating. So the model that we took was hey, how do we, again, instead of being a value extractor, which a lot of sponsors or brands tend to be all right, you have this partnership now, how are we going to monetize this thing? How are we going to drive new users for us? How are we going to drive transacting users? The approach is, how do we give value back to the fans and really ease our way into building that trust, building that awareness with them, and enhance their experience, enhance their fandom. So whether you're at a fan zone or not, there's an elevated element to when you have a grid pass. There's areas of the fan zone that you can access even further than what a regular fan can do. And that's also free. It doesn't cost you any money to sign up and use Kraken. We actually have brand ambassadors and employees there on site at these fan zones that are educating people about crypto, which is a very complex subject for a lot of us. And it's been great. And year one, I think it was 105,000 people that had signed up for the grid pass. On our side of things, it's free initially, right? But we saw those people then go on to trade. I think it's over $6 billion in volume on our platform. And then there's what we get is the revenue side of that, which is a percentage of that, but that's in the couple millions of dollars, let's call it. But I think it was kind of an aha moment for us to show how focusing on the fan and their experience builds trust, rather than a regular sponsor that might come in and slap a logo, or not focus on trying to find ways to provide even further value and be part of the fan community versus just being a sponsor that's paying money and trying to make money from you as a fan.
We actually have a sizzle reel to show the Williams fan zone experience. So if we could play that. Lou, you kind of already addressed this, but if there's anything else you want to add here, or Divya, are these innovations actually increasing loyalty, or are they just novelty plays?
I think I mean, for me, I'm going to say soundly, I think they're increasing loyalty. And I say that because adding these pieces in, to Lou's point, builds trust between the fans and both brands, not just one or the other. And that we've seen it within the KPIs. We have a higher return rate for individuals who come to a fan zone. They may never get to go and be the 0.01% of individuals who touches the Williams brand or the Kraken brand physically somewhere other than in the fan zone, or through their grid pass, even globally otherwise. And it's their connection point into a world that oftentimes they cannot otherwise get into. And so for us, it's how do we democratize fandom and how do we educate people about that? And that mission for us means increasing that loyalty. So if someone comes to our fan zone and interacts with the brands and partners and sponsors we have at the fan zone, they interact and they stick around to see Carlos or Alex or JV or one of the many academy drivers that we have show up, they're 20 to 25 times more likely to return to our site or our app property at another time when the race isn't even in their city. So we're keeping that connection. We're building that loyalty. We're making constant touch points, which is another important piece. We're not just giving them an experience and then never communicating with them again. We're giving them an experience and constantly going back to them with a message about the benefits they can get through Grid Pass for the rest of the year, or another virtual Q&A they might be able to attend, or merch discounts, or we have a new merch line. So there's other ways to build it, but we do harness and stress that when we bring in a fan for these purposes, it is for loyalty, not just novelty.
And how do you balance immersive tech without losing the authenticity that fans crave? Sounds like you guys are doing this really, really well with Kraken. How do you do this with other brands? Do you have deep integrations with other brands?
Yeah, so on the Williams front, we really try to. It's like I said, it's more than just a logo slap. What we do with Kraken is the most involved because we've built a custom integration and a custom tech product. And for that piece alone, we're building the trust and the loyalty with our fans, and they're authentically connecting with us because they see the value in something they can get. The Grid Pass is a very designed. It's got a Formula One helmet on it. It looks like you're racing through a track really quickly. So not only does it already have the visual and striking element of the both brands put together, but then you're also being able to create something that someone can shout from the rooftops and say, I can show my fandom. So on the Williams side, we've had this integration called the driver card, which is essentially the fan identity. So if someone joins and creates a Williams account, they get their driver card. They get to customize it. So they get to choose a helmet, they get to put in their initials on it, and they get to put their favorite number on it if they so choose. And throughout the year, at different reward points, you get to customize it and change the look and feel of it. You can share it to your friends. It'll give you extra perks and benefits throughout the year. I've shameless plug. Mine is all Grid Pass branded right now. The background is, the helmet is, everything is on it. But it's something where we integrate those partners. Now, when we're doing another piece too, a couple of years ago, and Luke can also talk to this one, we also like to encourage cross-population of our partners with each other. So back in November of 2023, I believe, for Vegas, Gulf has long been in the motorsport world. And that year, Williams did a custom livery with Gulf to bring back kind of the heritage focus of Gulf and their legacy and history in motorsport. There was livery ran for, I believe, 3 or 4 races within the Asia circuit. I think it was 3. And people were so in love with that livery that we talked to Kraken. Luke came to the table and said, well, why don't we turn this into another digital collectible that people can go find through the Grid Pass program? So we stood that up actually probably within like 5 or 6 days, I think. But we had different angles of different liveries. We had different rarities. We had different components that made the offering scarce, but just cool enough that people really wanted to sign up for a new account to come get and claim these things. And if they missed out, a lot of people wanted to figure out a way to go retroactively buy them or figure out how to trade for them. So it's another way where that authenticity then traveled to Gulf, who's had such a legacy in motorsport, but then fans then are starting to associate motorsport and the partners that we have as a one unit versus separate individuals and separate logos?
All right, now let's switch gears to data-driven marketing. Racine.
So much more excited.
And Karolina, so at hbandcare.com, how is data shaping how you target, engage, and retain your audiences today?
Yeah, absolutely. Can speak to that. I think for HP in general, we are very, very audience-centric, customer-centric, and that's a big transition that we're pushing. So move away from a product strategy, but really going after the right audience. And data plays a critical role here because not only through data, we understand who our customers are, where they are, and how to meaningfully connect with them throughout their journey. We talked today on all the panels a lot of about sponsorships and ROI, but it's for me not just that. It's not just measurement that data plays a role, but it's really how do we create the feedback loop and power the growth strategy of not only understanding the performance of our media, but actually understanding what else our audience does. And how can we enrich the audience and what are the different kind of segments that we can build? And this is all really centers around data. And for us, on the media side, my job is to take a lot of the things that HP do with brand and partnerships, etc., and bring that to continuous engagement with our customers. So, building onto that through medias like digital out of home and CTV and obviously social, being able to use data not just to reach a broad audience, but to actually do the opposite, be very personalized in the storytelling and bringing those passion points together with performance. Really, that's what we're here to do. To this way, by combining and finding the customer where they are during their happy times, not just work. B2B is a huge for HP. So understanding where the IT decision makers, for example, what do they do outside of work, and reaching them during that time. That's how we build the connection. And again, being relevant, building the connection. That's what helps us retain the customers.
Yes, very similar at Angie and Care, which were the two performance brands that I helped manage and helped during the Angie's List rebrand to Angie. Specifically talking about Angie, we really saw that in a year after COVID, home ownership was up. And that was really across millennials, which was the fastest demo to buy homes after COVID. They were taking advantage of the interest rates. And with that, we really jumped on the opportunity. And we saw at Angie, demand was kind of through the roof after COVID, where people were renovating their homes. They weren't spending on traveling and dining out. And they were really investing in making their home a place where they could live, do their Zooms, gyms. I know we all lived through COVID, but just like a reminder, because it kind of feels like a while ago at this point. But we also saw that since millennials were the fastest homeowners after COVID, we wanted to make sure we pivoted our media strategy to target these millennials. And how did we do that? We started shifting our linear buy, which was basically 90% of our marketing budget was DRTV. And we shifted around 30% of that to CTV, especially during the rebrand. And we saw such strong results, not only from an awareness perspective, but from a response rate and cost per service request. So at Angie specifically, following that data and understanding the audience, how they're spending their money, but then how they're consuming media is really important. On the Care side, it's interesting because we have a lot of different verticals and lines of business. We have senior care, child care, housekeeping, and pet care. So we have a ton of information on our customers, a ton of information on segmentation. But it's important because we kind of have two audiences. We have our go-getters and our core. So for example, you're a millennial, you are looking for a nanny, but maybe you're also home during the holidays and you see your parents are suffering and you want to make sure you're getting them the proper aid. So we're really targeting both the seniors, but also the millennials in a two-folded way. So understanding how they're consuming media and pivoting our media strategy to that. And sports actually has recently played a pivotal role in that, has been really important to us. And it's going to be definitely part of our strategy moving forward, not only for that reach perspective, but also for performance across the board in terms of conversion.
Well, Karolina, HP has a very prominent sponsorship with Ferrari. Can you share an example of how you're doing this through an integrated campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're very, very excited, and I'm sure we upset some Ferrari fans by putting a lot of blue on the red, but it's working really well. So for us, again, in media, right? Like, what is the job of media when it comes to our major sponsorship with Real Madrid and Ferrari? And it's really to take that, take the relationship, take the sponsorship, and bring it all the way through the funnel. We spoke earlier today about consumer versus commercial. Consumer, slightly easier. Commercial, how can we actually tap into those sponsorship and continue that engagement through media with our commercial audiences? So specifically for Ferrari, we use those sponsorship as really the entry point to our high value audience. Through data, we know that our decision makers in the commercial space are also F1 fans, and there are football fans, and we're learning there are also tennis fans, etc. So by understanding data, we're able to tap into those audiences, and then again, I know I keep repeating journey, but take them throughout the entire journey. So activate through a lot of upper funnel media, but then also build a connection to our commercial media. So what I mean by that is we tapped into a lot of different technology and tools to understand how our sponsorship / brand campaigns really influence the decision makers that we find on the LinkedIns of the world, right? So we build this integration, and we're able to measure the lift of engagement if someone had been exposed to our ads that are either the sponsorship ads or brand ads, but then because of that, their engagement on mid to lower funnel channels has increased significantly. So we're continuously building that relationship and that connection by activating, but tapping into the entry point high value audience and taking them on that journey with H. And I think we have a video.
Yeah, we have a video, so if we could play that second sizzle.
That's Las Vegas. Well, that was really long. You may
Catchy
see,
song.
You may see us around Miami as well. Different formats, but we're definitely present as well.
Are there examples where real-time data changed a campaign midstream?
Yes. So Angie and Kara are very efficient. So I can give some examples, but just like in terms of the power of sports, when I was a buyer at Zenith, they gave me the I was on 20th Century Fox, so huge movie studio account, and they gave me ESPN as a network. I'm like, you're giving the girl who handled like day locking on Nickelodeon, ESPN. I don't even watch sports. What do you want? They're like, we know you'll check a flow chart really well to make sure we're in these specific sports games, and that's just how important sports is to a media plan. Just that live viewership, and from a movie studio perspective, getting those customers and viewers in for opening weekend is huge. So it just shows the power of sports from that perspective. So just pivoting that way. I know that was like a little example, but just from like thinking about my career and how I've integrated sports across the way from the 20th Century Fox day locking into Sports Center to activating a Mucinex campaign in the Super Bowl when I oversaw Reckitt Benckiser to more performance brands where we saw that sports, especially fire sale opportunities in Monday Night Football, some U.S. gymnastics really helped with not only our brand health metrics during that month where we secured inventory, but also our conversion and response rate. So for Angie and Kay, a very important part of our media strategy, but efficiently placing. And one little tidbit of information. So we worked with this network, Aggregate Sports, where we secured signage on U.S. gymnastics for Angie. It was a really low out of pocket, so that was really exciting for me that at least we'd have a logo during our rebrand on the field with Simone Biles basically doing her performance before the Olympics. That, I don't remember the exact stats, but her routine went viral so much that in that month, it was retweeted, it was YouTubed, everything for a very low out of pocket that we saw from that plus a Monday Night Football unit. Our brand health metrics for, do you know that Angie's List is now Angie, I think was the question, increased 5 points in September alone, which is huge, especially for a data-driven performance brand. So just the power of sports and how from a awareness brand to a performance brand, you can utilize it in so many different ways. It's just so important, and it's such an integral part of the media strategy, especially now where viewing is mostly done on CTV. Live viewing in sports is still done on those, on the screen, but still a lot through broadcast, obviously with Peacock and Amazon picking up a lot of the rights. It's just such an integral part, and to get that live viewing is really important for the fan experience, but also for your brand story. Exactly. So now I know a little bit about sports, I think, after 13 years in the industry. Yeah.
And for either you or Karolina,
Yeah.
how do you navigate consumer trust when collecting and using personal data?
I think for us, it's like we're a big corporation. We're very, very transparent, and we're very much by the rules. So to us, having the right opt-in consent, that's absolutely critical. We take this very serious. And then, of course, managing data in-house. There's a reason. So HP has a proper in-house agency. We do everything on my team from planning, strategy, execution, measurement. And honestly, there's a big reason why we have in-house team, because we have access to the data. It stays in-house. There is no kind of any issues with us. We can do a lot more with that. We have a dedicated data science team that can help us with analysis. So that really helps us, but we take that very serious when it comes to adhering to all the policies. Now there's changes coming in California. I'm heads down reviewing. We have a policy team where we trying to understand what that means for media execution, right? So it's a nonstop kind of a topic that's always on our minds.
Obviously, for Angie and Care, you're inviting a stranger into your home, one to fix your prized possession, your home, one to potentially watch your prized possession, your children, take care of your parents, take care of your pet. So data is extremely important to us, and keeping our customers' profiles, making sure we're sending the right people to your homes that are vetted is really important. It's like the touch point and the first thing we think about in everything that we do, from a security standpoint to a marketing standpoint, and making sure our customers really feel valued and safe using our platform.
Okay, now let's transition to sponsorships and brand alignment. F1 sponsorships are increasingly very tech forward, as we just heard here. What brand categories or strategic alignments do you see growing next, and why?
I think we also have to, to me, first of all, that the fact that F1 sponsorship are very tech forward makes complete sense, right? I know that F1 is a sport, but it's also, for me, it's actually a very, very data-driven industry. If you think about, especially for HP, why HP and Ferrari? Well, we both are very heavily invested in development of AI. We both use telemetry data. We analyze our performance, we pivot, we change, and it's all based on data. So I do think that will continue grow in the consumer and enterprise tech industry. The other one that we also discussed earlier today, it's fashion and luxury. And I think that we'll continue seeing a lot of fashion and luxury brand because at the end of the day, F1 is a lifestyle. And I think growing up in Europe, I grew up watching F1, even if I don't want to. Like I was exposed to it through my parents or my siblings, etc. And I think right now it's becoming more and more this trend in the U.S. But and for that reason, it's building this kind of a lifestyle. So again, fashion luxury brands. And then I do think there's still opportunity in media and entertainment. There's definitely a connection that will continue growing there. But on the other hand, just hearing some of the speakers earlier today, I think there's maybe untapped opportunity as well. We do talk a lot about luxury and tech and cool stuff and AI, but then there's a lot of people who watch F1 and are truly passionate that are not in the luxury and fashion communities. They're generally just love the sports. So I think there is opportunity for a lot of more consumer-focused brands to tap into those partnerships to build a relationship with those people as well.
I can identify with that. Growing up in Brazil, watching F1 was not an option. It was always on TV.
Yeah.
So Divya, thinking through the lens of a partnership strategy evolution, how are you evaluating and activating sponsorships differently today than you were 2 to 3 years ago?
Yeah, I think for us in particular, both on the FanCapital side and the Williams side, what we're looking for increasingly is performance marketing deals. And I would say we're unique in that area where we do have the data set and we have the data points to be able to stitch together profiles, so much so that with Kraken, we took a Venn diagram of their fans and our fans, and we've been trying to grow the middle piece of the pie. Now, in theory and in practice, currently, as we've had with Kraken, it's very beneficial to both platforms. I think we're increasingly seeing a piece where you're going to go to, I don't know, hypothetically, in my years in the future, care.com or someone like that, and you go, hey, we're going to do a partnership or a sponsorship, but for every other incremental customer or subscriber we bring you, that equates to a bonus within that partnership, right? More of a performance marketing based category where I see things increasingly going towards. Now, there has to be a foundation of data and alignment and goals to be able to get to that point. I would say I think Williams is uniquely positioned at that point where they kind of dreamt and they built this thing called the fan engagement platform that we all sit on. And I do honestly believe that there are some teams that are a little further behind that, where they are still just selling for logos on shirts or logos on the car versus really selling for additional value and one-to-one customer metrics. So that's where I see the Formula One, especially partnership and sponsorship space, continuing to grow. I do think it's a little behind some other industries, as we've seen, but I think people are finally understanding and realizing that a lot of these deals may become more fan-focused and customer-based and not just a handshake deal in the paddock that has a logo on a car.
Do we get a discount if we make a deal later?
Let's talk about it.
I love it.
Lou, thinking through this from a measurement and ROI perspective, obviously you guys have a huge investment with your sponsorship in Williams. How are you measuring sponsorship today versus the past? What's changed and where is measurement headed next?
Yeah, I mean, we look at the full funnel across our measurement. I think Kraken 3 years ago when we just started out, it was definitely more mid-top funnel, I would say. You know, we were low awareness. For being a 14-year-old company, our awareness has been pretty low, I would say, to start across the world. You know, and since then we identified using data, you know, where these gaps were, where the opportunities were, where are, you know, people that want to invest, you know, first in crypto, and now we're a little bit of a different company these days because now we have US stocks available on our platform. What are their trends? What are their habits, their interests? And then, you know, try to make efforts to put some flags in the ground in those areas. In the last, I would say 6 months, we've rapidly shifted to a growth focused, like hyper growth, product marketing focused company, which is actually an exciting challenge for us because, you know, crypto is very complex for a lot of people. It's tough to do something that's really unique, that stands out and helps educate people, which is what a lot of the times is the number one hesitation for a lot of people is they just don't understand the product. So they're too scared to get started. So things like what we've done with Williams, with the fan zone, where we're actually putting people on the ground, we're actually giving you something tangible that is not scary, doesn't cost you any money, but gives you access to open up this new world of crypto, of investments, of blockchain technology. The industry itself is constantly evolving. So in our new, more product marketing focused phase, we're definitely looking at things like new transacting users, month over month transacting users, lifetime customer value. And we're doing a lot of tests right now, I think, to find ways to help increase that. At the same time, we're still pushing awareness. So we have to find that sweet middle ground of how do we do something, and this has always been our thought process really, is like, how do we be unique and disruptive when we're starting out a new sponsorship relationship? We have to build that trust because, crypto, again, comes with a little bit of a stigma to it, especially over the last couple of years. How do we build that trust? How do we help be the educator for people, and how do we help guide them down the funnel to eventually become customers? And then once they're in the cycle with us, it's our job to then, help grow them through life cycle tactics and through other activations that we do.
All right, we're gonna end on a quick lightning round. So in one sentence, what's one emerging trend you are personally most excited about over the next 2 to 3 years?
Oh God, just one. I'm putting my media geek head on. To me, how we engage with the audiences in a very dynamic / even using AI transformative ways. I feel like back in the days, digital marketing was just really one-to-one. You serve an ad, you buy a product, and right now is really focused about building community engagement. It's more, instead of being interruptive marketing, it's participation marketing, and to me this is really the most exciting.
Yeah, so I'm overseeing our first influencer campaign at Care. Myself, I like to think of myself almost as a marketer, a media influencer, and just understanding that, okay, you can have a ring light and an opinion, and you can potentially be that one day, right? So I'm really excited about content creation in the future and how we consume content and how that's going to almost become how we used to consume, or how we still consume TV. It's going to be really excited for me how we're seeing our podcast hosts now, like Alex Cooper is almost like the Hoda of the Today Show. Like, she's going to be that for that Generation Z, even millennial female. So excited to see how that evolves and how different brands can tap into it. And hopefully the pricing levelizes a little bit. Those CPMs are quite expensive to tap into those channels.
I have two, actually: performance-based marketing and AI. I think we've all talked about AI in some format. I believe there still has to be a human element now, but I'm excited to see where it goes in the space. Not only just for a fan, but also for efficiency within our space.
I mean, crypto is such a new space. I'm going to answer this in like a non-marketing way, I think. For what I'm excited about and what I think, some of the unique things that the financial services or fintech industry, like the trends that we're seeing now and what the evolution of that will be, is a lot of companies are becoming more than what they've started out as. So, take us, for example, of being, again, 14 years old and now offering an equities product, puts us in a whole different category. Probably makes our sponsorships that we'll do in the future more expensive because now we have to lock up more categories. But that's exciting. And then just diving into the crypto side of it, I think the tokenization of real world assets, like giving people access to real world assets in tokenized form that in countries where they may not be able to have this, can then have it, I think opens up a whole new world on how we can, bring our products to life, but also, really give people access to financial tools that can help them grow their investments and the save on the hard-earned money that they're working for, connect with people globally more instantly. I think we're excited about payments as well. We launched Kraken Pay within the app. We're actually doing an activation at the fan zone right now, where if you have Kraken, you claim your crack tag, which is like your ID. You spin a wheel and you can have the chance to win, a real like amount of stable coin, anywhere from like $1 to $500. We're doing some like bonus things where you can send it to your friend if their friend is like in another country. it comes through instantly. So I think we're just trying to push the boundaries and really set the bar for the industry and set the trends. So we're not really seeing anything right now. I think we're kind of on the path of trying to create that trail for how it's going to come to life in the future.
I believe we actually have one more video to show. So this is the Relo metrics. We recently launched an F1 AI model, speaking of AI, and it shows you how it's capturing the logos and the placements in real time and giving it a viewability score, which is helping marketers understand the effectiveness of their sponsorship investments. So this is brand new. We just launched this about 3 weeks ago.
Very cool. Very cool.
And last but not least, today we also released an early season F1 brand insights report. There should be a barcode that comes up on the screen, and if you can't catch that, I have a bunch of cards that I am happy to hand out, and you guys can access the report. Thank you so much to our panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.